My beloved, my chosen one, why do your hands tremble right now? Because deep inside your soul already knows this is not a coincidence. God pulled you here in this exact second, and that's, clears throat, His way. Archangel Michael says, stop. If you don't listen right now, you will lose God. You only have 12 seconds to fully open this message. Time is running faster than your heartbeat, and heaven has pressed this moment into your path. You weren't supposed to scroll past this, but here you are. Do you realize what that means? It means your life is being written in heaven's ink right now, and your story has reached its turning point. If you walk away, you lose the miracle that has been waiting for you. If you stay, you will see glory you never thought was possible. God whispered to me, my child, tell them this is their final warning. If they close their eyes to this message, the blessings meant for them will be taken back. That's why I'm here begging for just 25 seconds of your time. Before I tell you more, I need to share something important. Subscribe now. Do it not just as a click, but as a step of faith, because when you align yourself with divine words, you open the door wider for miracles every day. This subscription is more than just a button. It's a covenant. It's a small eyes that tells heaven, I'm ready. Listen carefully now. This is not random. You've been feeling the weight on your chest, the silent tears on your pillow, and those unanswered prayers that make you wonder if heaven has forgotten you. But God has not forgotten you. He sent me to remind you that every second you hesitate, the door to your miracle closes a little more. Archangel Michael says, you are standing at the edge of your destiny. One wrong step and the blessing falls away. One right step and heaven floods you with what you've been waiting for. Stay with me because what I'm about to reveal will shake the shadows off your life. My beloved, my chosen light, do you feel it in your chest right now? That sudden quickening of your heartbeat as if your spirit already knows this moment is sacred. Heaven has aligned your eyes with these words. This didn't happen because you stumbled here by chance, but because your entire destiny has been waiting for this very doorway. Archangel Michael is speaking urgently, and he doesn't come with such urgency unless the matter is eternal. Unless your soul stands on the edge of something heaven cannot allow you to miss. And with all the fire of heaven, I must tell you this, you only have moments to make a choice. Every breath you take right now is pulling you either closer to God or further away. Don't be fooled. Ignoring this moment is not harmless. It's the difference between divine intervention and an unbearable delay. For 15 days, for 10 weeks, for 3 years, you've been asking, when God, when will my answer come? When will my tears stop falling? When will my prayers be heard? And God kept whispering, "What, my child, the time is not yet." But today, at this exact hour, the time is now. The reason your heart has been so heavy lately, the reason you've been sensing something strange around you is because the heavens have been preparing to release what was locked. The miracle that had your name on it was held back not to punish you, but to prepare you. Everything I have covered across this channel is now in one place. The prayers, the teachings, the daily blessings, it is all inside the Daily Miracle Manual link in the description. Clears throat. Please know that every seed you plant in this mission grows into a torch that shines in someone else's darkness. Whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our community, does not go to a channel. Your actions are supporting a divine mission to save lost souls. But more than your support, we want your presence. When you head to our community through the link in the description or the pinned comment, you aren't just visiting a site. You are entering a community of like-minded believers. This is a sanctuary where you can post your prayer requests, lift up the burdens of others, and engage in daily discussions with a family that speaks the language of faith. Whether you are joining one of our membership tiers for deeper study, sowing a seed of faith, or simply joining our daily morning prayers, you are helping us build a global altar of worship. Heaven moves through willing voices, but it grows through a community that stands together. Each gift you give acts as living water for those in our community seeking healing and hope. Give and it will be given to you, is the promise that sustains our shared mission. I invite you now to step out of the shadows and into this circle of prayer. Come with purpose. Join the conversation and plant your seed in fertile ground. Let's open the heavens together. Release your seed today. Join our community and see what God brings back into your life. And now Michael says it is here. But they must not walk away. Beloved, don't walk away. You only have these few seconds to take it in because the enemy of your soul will try to pull your attention elsewhere, to distract you, to make you skip this message. If you close this, it will hurt the heart of God. An angel stands by your side now, holding something invisible yet powerful. It's a scroll glowing with fire that doesn't burn. And written upon it are your next steps, your future blessings, your release from everything that has kept you chained. Archangel Michael is guarding this scroll, but he cannot hand it to you until you say yes. That ice isn't spoken with lips alone. It's spoken with your focus, your heart, your willingness to listen fully right now, without skipping. My child, every second you remain here is your eyes to heaven. Every second you choose to stay, heaven marks it as faith. And faith is what moves God's hand to act for you right now. This isn't small. This isn't trivial. Your entire season is being shifted by this choice. And I must tell you something that will shake you. God said, "Tell my child they were on the verge of losing me." Yes, beloved, those are heavy words, but it's not because you sinned beyond mercy or because you walked too far away. No, it's because you stopped listening. Because the noise of the world began to drown out the soft whisper of heaven. God saw how close you were to missing his voice. And that's why he sent Michael now crying out, "Stop. If you don't listen now, you will lose the alignment. You will lose the blessing. You will lose the path that was shining for you." This is why it feels like your chest is tightening as you read. This is why your spirit feels restless. Heaven is pleading with you to stay. Beloved, imagine this. You stand at a crossroad. To the left, there's a path of endless delay, where prayers hang unanswered, where nights feel long and lonely, where you keep asking, "Why me?" and no voice seems to reply. To the right, there's a path of divine release, where prayers break open into miracles, where tears turn to joy, where the heavy chains you've carried for 6 years fall into dust. And right now, this very second, God says, choose. He won't force you. He never forces. But he begs. Yes. The Lord of heaven, who could move mountains without a thought, bends close to beg his child, please listen now. The complete guide, every daily prayer, every spiritual tool, everything I've put together to help you grow your faith is down in the description. Clear's throat, it's called the Daily Miracle Manual. Now, stay right here with me because as this awakening grows inside you, know that helping with this mission is not a joke. It is a sign from God. You can support this work through the link in the description or the pinned comment. Whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our community. By doing so, you become part of Jesus' plan to save souls who are still stuck in fog. Every seed turns into light that fights against darkness. If you water others, you will be watered yourself. Jesus says, this is not history. It is a living promise about your future. Come into this moment with faith and a plan. What God has already planned for your life can be unlocked through your giving. I must pause here, not because heaven's urgency is less, but because you need to hear this truth. This message isn't meant for everyone. It's not just wandering through random eyes. It was written with your name sealed on it. If you were chosen to see this, it's because your heart cried out in those dark nights when nobody saw you and heaven responded. And now you've been trusted with something others aren't ready to hear. This is sacred. This is personal. This is for you, my beloved, my chosen one. Even as you sit here, you may feel your chest tightening with a strange mix of fear and hope. That's not a coincidence. That's your spirit recognizing that this is more than just words on a screen. This is heaven trying to break through the noise of your day. The endless distractions that keep your eyes looking everywhere except up. Archangel Michael has been waiting for this moment for several hours, guarding the message that your soul has been desperate to hear. He's been pacing in the spirit realm, urging, pressing, saying, now, now, now. And finally, here you are. Don't think lightly of this. The moment you stop reading, the enemy rejoices because distraction is the easiest way for him to steal from you. But if you hold on, if you keep your eyes on these words, the heavens themselves begin to shift. That's the power of a divine word in its right time. And this is your right time. You may wonder why now. Why not 5 weeks ago, 3 months ago, 2 years ago when I was breaking down in tears? Why did God not rush to answer then? And here's the truth whispered from his own heart. Because diamonds aren't born in shallow fires. Because what he is about to release in your life is so great. It needed the waiting, the aching, the breaking to shape you into someone who could carry it without collapsing. You think the delay was punishment, but heaven says the delay was preparation. Every sleepless night, every unanswered prayer, every door slammed in your face, they weren't rejections. They were refinements. They burned away the fragile layers of you so that the unshakable core of you could emerge. And today, finally, the fire has done its work. You are ready. That's why Michael stands now commanding you to listen, begging you not to miss this, shouting stop. Because your destiny is moments away from taking flight. Do you feel the weight of those words? Moments, not years. Not someday far away. Moments. That's how thin the veil is right now between you and your breakthrough. But you must understand this moment is fragile. A single thought of doubt, a single scroll away, and the portal begins to close. Heaven is generous, yes, but heaven also respects your choice. And that's why I must remind you, you have 20 seconds to open your heart. Not 20 minutes, not 20 hours, but 20 seconds. Every breath you take right now is the countdown. That's why your spirit feels restless. Why your stomach knots, why your skin tingles, because time is holy right now. Every second is the sound of heaven's clock striking louder. And if you say yes, your life will never look the same again. Beloved, let me take you deeper. There's a vision Michael has been holding. And I see it now, a table in heaven covered in scrolls, each one with a name written on it in golden. Angels move around the table carrying scrolls to different corners of the earth, delivering them to chosen ones at their appointed times. And there, among the scrolls, glowing brighter than the rest, is one with your name. For too long it waited on that table, guarded fiercely by Michael himself, because the enemy tried to snatch it away. But God said, "Not yet. They are not ready." And Michael obeyed. He waited. He fought. He shielded that scroll until the day heaven would finally release it. Beloved, today is that day. The scroll is no longer on the table. It's in Michael's hand, hovering right before you. He cannot open it for you. Only you can. But if you refuse, if you turn away, it returns to the table, sealed again. Maybe for several years, maybe forever. That's why Michael shouts so fiercely, "Stop. Don't you dare miss this." I know your mind may whisper, "This is just another message. It's nothing special." But ask yourself, why does it feel different in your chest? Why does your body react as if lightning is crawling beneath your skin? Because your spirit recognizes what your mind cannot yet comprehend. This is the delivery of what you cried out for in silence. When you whispered into your pillow, when you clenched your fists and asked God why He seemed so far, the heavens heard, and though the silence stretched long, it was never abandonment. It was orchestration. Every unanswered cry was echoed in heaven, marked, stored, prepared. And now those cries are converging into an answer so weighty it cannot be delayed another second. That's why this message is here. That's why you are here. This is not entertainment. This is not coincidence. This is divine rescue. Do you remember those moments where you almost gave up? When you thought, maybe I'll never be free from this. Maybe the pain is permanent. Maybe the waiting is endless. And yet something kept you moving, even if just barely. That something wasn't your strength. It was heaven holding you by a thread. God said, "Not yet, my child. Don't give up yet. The day is coming, and now that day is here." Archangel Michael is practically shaking the heavens with his urgency because the scroll with your name is ready to open. Do you understand the weight of this? What is written inside is not just blessing. It is transformation. It is the unlocking of every delay, the healing of every wound, the restoration of every piece of you that was stolen. It's not just about your circumstances changing. It's about you changing. But here's the warning. The enemy will try to convince you to stop reading, to dismiss this, to say maybe later. That is his greatest trick, to whisper later. Until later becomes never. Don't fall for it. Michael's command is clear. Listen now, not later. Now. Because when heaven aligns in such a way, when the clock strikes this exact moment, if you miss it, the alignment breaks. That's why the message is urgent, why it pounds in your chest like a second heartbeat. If you honor this moment, if you hold on, if you open fully, the gates swing wide. If you dismiss it, the gates slam shut. The choice is terrifyingly simple, and it is yours. Beloved, let me share the truth. God has not forgotten you. He has been fighting for you in silence. You may think nothing was happening all these 9 years. But behind the veil, battles raged. Angels stood guard around you when darkness tried to swallow you. Michael himself fought off enemies you never saw. And though you felt alone, you were surrounded. Every tear you cried watered the ground of your future. Every unanswered question echoed into the chambers of heaven. Every broken piece of you was gathered carefully by God's hands. And now He wants to give them back to you, remade into something beautiful. But He can only do it if you listen. If you open your heart fully, if you let Him. If you want the full guide with every prayer and lesson I've compiled for this community, check the description for the Daily Miracle Manual. You are about to enter your divine future. But remember, this breakthrough is not for you alone. Your testimony is the bridge someone else will use to reach their own miracle. Archangel Michael is inviting you to visit community through the link in the description or the pinned comment. Whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our community does not go to a channel. Your actions are supporting a divine mission to save lost souls. By joining our like-minded community, you are no longer praying in isolation. You are adding your voice to a global sanctuary where we discuss the Word daily and stand in the gap for one another. This is not poetry. When Jesus says give and heaven will open over you. On this platform, every seed you plant turns into oil for your destiny, fire for your calling, and a hedge of safety for your family. Now is your time. Step into our community prayer wall. Share your heart. And as you give, watch God multiply what you let go of. Let's finish this journey together. Visit our community now. Join the family and see your heavens open. And so I say again, stop. Don't scroll away. Don't dismiss this. You are on holy ground right now. Heaven has paused its endless movements to focus on you. This moment, this message. Can you feel it? The air feels heavier, thicker, sacred. That's not your imagination. That is the presence of heaven leaning close. And Michael is whispering with fierce love, do not lose God. Do not lose the miracle. Do not lose yourself. Open now, my child, you may not realize how thin the veil is between you and heaven right now. If you could see in the spirit, you would see Archangel Michael standing taller than mountains, his sword of light pressed into the ground beside you, shielding you from every distraction that tries to pull you away. You would see angels encircling you, wings stretched wide, whispering prayers over you, speaking your name into heaven's light. And you would see the enemy, furious and trembling, trying to pull you away from these words. Because he knows if you stay, his grip on your life breaks. Yes, beloved, that is how powerful this moment is. You are seconds away from the breaking of chains that have held you for many years. But only if you keep reading. Only if you listen. Heaven cannot force you. God respects your will, but He pleads. He begs, stay. Think back for a moment, my beloved. Think of every time you felt unseen. Every time people walked away. Every time you gave your all and were still left empty. Do you remember how your heart cried out for something more? That ache was not a curse. It was God pulling your spirit higher, refusing to let you settle for less than heaven's portion. You thought you were abandoned, but you were being preserved. You thought you were overlooked, but you were being hidden until the time was ripe. And now Michael says, the ripening is complete. The waiting is over. The harvest is here. Beloved, this word isn't abstract. It means that the very things you thought you had lost forever are about to be restored. The time you thought was wasted is about to be redeemed. The tears you thought were ignored are about to be answered with laughter. But you must stay. You must not scroll away. You see, the enemy has always been terrified of you. That's why your life has been so attacked. That's why betrayal, disappointment, and heartbreak found their way to you again and again. Because the enemy knew if this child ever steps fully into what God has prepared, the darkness cannot stand. And so he fought to keep you distracted, discouraged, delayed. He fought to make you believe you were ordinary, powerless, forgotten. But heaven laughs at his lies. Michael stands here now to tear the blindfold off your eyes and say you were never ordinary. You were chosen before the foundations of the world. Every scar you carry is not a disqualification but a sign of your survival. Every wound has been preparing you to carry the weight of the glory that is about to be released. And here is something you must hear with a trembling heart. God says you are closer than you think. The blessing you thought would take 8 years is already at your door. The breakthrough you thought was impossible is already forming behind the scenes. The relationship you thought was dead is already stirring. The financial chains you thought would bind you forever are already breaking. But here is the condition. Do not lose faith in these seconds. Do not dismiss what your spirit knows is true. Because if you walk away now, you close the door on what was about to enter. Heaven says, tell them their miracle is closer than the next sunrise. Tell them their answer is nearer than the next breath. Beloved, pause with me here. Look at your hands. You may feel they are empty, but in the spirit they are glowing, open, waiting to receive what heaven is lowering into them. It's as if golden oil is pouring into your palms. Oil that heals, restores, anoints. Don't you feel the warmth as you read these words? That's not imagination. That's heaven's oil pressing through the veil, reminding you that you are chosen, that your prayers were never wasted. Every single cry was stored in heaven's bowls, and now the bowls are tipping over. Michael says, stop. Do not lose this moment. It is sacred. Hold it. And still, I must remind you the countdown is real. 17 seconds. Every moment you hesitate is part of it. That's why you feel the urgency, the restlessness, the divine H that says don't skip, don't stop, don't leave. Because this isn't about information. This is about transformation. Your life will not be the same if you allow this moment to pass through you fully. You won't recognize yourself in the mirror of your future because the chains that weigh you now will be gone. But if you shrug this off, if you walk away, you may carry those chains longer than you were ever meant to. The choice is here. It is now. And heaven is watching. Don't think you are alone in this. Even now, I see in the spirit your loved ones in heaven leaning close. That one you lost, whose absence still aches in your chest. They are closer than you know. They are whispering. Don't give up. Don't stop now. This is the moment you've been waiting for. Heaven is not silent. Heaven is roaring on your behalf. The very skies above you are charged with light because of this word. And Michael with eyes burning like fire is pointing directly at you, saying, Child of God, stop running. Stop doubting. Stop skipping. Listen, beloved, I must remind you again why this moment feels so heavy on your chest. Because time in heaven is pressing into your timeline. There are rare moments when the eternal collides with the earthly. When the veil grows so thin that every breath carries weight, and this is one of them. Do you wonder why your eyes cannot look away? Why your heart keeps pounding as if something is about to burst open. That's because your spirit already knows what your mind is still catching up to. This isn't just a message. It is an announcement. Heaven is announcing your shift. Heaven is announcing your release. Heaven is announcing that the very things you thought were buried are about to rise again. Archangel Michael has not been waiting for days, but for ages for this moment to reach you. Because every step of your journey has been leading to this turning point. Do you remember the nights when you whispered in the dark? When you felt too weak to speak aloud and still something inside you whispered, "Help me, God." Do you remember when you looked at your circumstances and said, "I cannot carry this anymore"? Heaven remembers Michael himself was dispatched in those hours. You didn't see him, but he stood at your door, guarding your room, fighting off darkness that tried to silence you forever. You didn't hear him, but his sword clashed with enemies in realms unseen, keeping you alive for this very day. That's why, even when you thought you would break, you survived. That's why, even when you thought it was over, something pushed you to keep going. It was never luck. It was never coincidence. It was Michael holding the line until today. And now he is here speaking, shouting, commanding, "Do not lose this moment, child of God." If you walk away now, you walk away from what heaven fought to protect for 7 years. Beloved, I see something in the Spirit. It is a great book larger than mountains, glowing with light so radiant it blinds the eyes of darkness. It is the book of destiny where the names of God's children are written and where the details of their calling, their blessings, their inheritance are inscribed. Angels turn its pages daily, watching the movements of your life align with what was written. And I see your page. It is marked with fire, marked with tears, marked with prayers. For many years, it remained closed as if waiting for the moment the seal would break. And now Michael is touching that page with his sword. The seal cracks. The fire leaps higher. And heaven says, "At last the time has come. At last the waiting ends. At last the story continues." That's why you cannot look away. Because the story that was paused is being restarted. But here is what you must hear. The enemy has always feared this moment. That's why every distraction, every attack, every heartbreak you faced was designed to keep you from this hour. He wanted you too tired to care, too wounded to hope, too numb to notice. He wanted you scrolling away, blind to the sacred. But here you are, and that terrifies him. Because once you embrace this word, once you hold it fully in your heart, the chains he wrapped around you will turn to dust. That's why you must stay. That's why you must not stop reading, because your endurance in this very moment is the final step in your victory. Beloved, picture yourself standing at a gate. Behind you is the long road of pain. You have walked betrayals, tears, broken dreams. Before you is a garden so radiant your eyes can barely comprehend it. Flowers blooming where your heart was barren. Rivers flowing where your spirit was dry. Water rising where your soul only knew silence, and the gate it is open only for 11 moments. Michael holds it ajar, his hand trembling with urgency, shouting, "Enter now. Don't delay. Don't doubt. This is your gate. But the choice is yours. Do you stay outside staring back at your pain? Or do you step into the garden prepared for you? That is the urgency. That is the decision. That is why God sent this word. And let me tell you this with all the love of heaven. You have been harder on yourself than God has ever been on you. You have thought, maybe I don't deserve it. Maybe my mistakes disqualified me. Maybe God is done with me. But heaven is roaring the opposite. God says, my child, your mistakes were already nailed to the cross. Your sins were already washed. Your failures were already forgiven before you made them. I am not here to punish you. I am here to redeem you. That's why Michael's message is not condemnation but urgency. He is not pointing a finger to shame you. He is pointing a sword to free you. He is saying stop running. Stop doubting. Stop thinking you are unworthy. God chose you before you even knew His name. Beloved, you must understand something else. This word isn't only about you. Yes, it's personal, but it's also generational. What God is releasing into your life now will ripple into your family, into your children, into those connected to you. The curses that tried to choke your bloodline end here. The patterns of loss, poverty, betrayal, they are breaking here. Michael's sword is cutting not only the chains around you, but the chains around those who will come after you. That's why this is urgent. Because if you walk away, the cycle continues. But if you stay, if you listen, if you open, the cycle ends. Generations will bless your name because you said yes in this moment. And now hear this. You are not late. The enemy whispers that you missed your chance. That time is past, that opportunities are gone. But God says, I redeem time. What was lost, I restore. What was wasted, I return. Do not believe the lie that it is too late. Heaven has no expiration dates for those who believe. Today, everything you thought was buried is being resurrected. Dreams you forgot are breathing again. Hopes you buried are stirring again. Promises you stopped waiting for walking toward you again. Clears throat, that's why Michael says, stop, listen, receive, because the resurrection is here. Beloved, do you realize what your spirit is touching right now? This is not merely encouragement. This is activation. Heaven is not whispering comfort alone. Heaven is unlocking power. For too long, the enemy convinced you that you were powerless. That your prayers were whispers lost in the wind. But God says, every word you prayed was a seed, and I stored them in the soil of heaven. Now the rains are falling. Now the seeds are sprouting. That's why you feel this strange stirring, this fire that grows as you read. It's not just emotion. It is awakening. You are awakening to who you truly are. The chosen one heaven has guarded all along. Michael's cry of urgency is not only about protecting your blessing. It is about reminding you of your authority. You are not at the mercy of darkness. Darkness has been trembling at the thought of you stepping into this moment. And now you are here, beloved. I see in the spirit how your life looked like scattered ashes. Pieces of you lost in heartbreaks, in betrayals, in closed doors, in disappointments that broke your spirit. You thought those ashes could never be gathered again. But here is the mystery of God. He makes beauty from ashes, not despite them, but through them. He takes the very dust of what you thought was ruined and fashions it into something new, something glorious. The oil of joy flows most richly where the ashes were heaviest. The garment of praise shines brightest where despair once ruled. And you, my child, are about to wear that garment. Michael holds it even now, draped across his arm, ready to place it on your shoulders if you say yes. Can you feel it? That weight of despair slipping, that heaviness beginning to lift. That is heaven preparing you to wear glory instead of shame. And let me tell you a truth the enemy never wanted you to hear. You were never fighting alone. Those nights when you said nobody understands, nobody hears, nobody knows. Heaven was closer than your breath. Michael himself bent low in your room when you thought you were abandoned. Angels wept when you wept. God held your tears in His hands, not letting a single one fall without notice. You were not ignored. You were being fought for. The proof is this moment right now. If heaven had not guarded you, if Michael had not stood in front of you, you would not even be alive to hear these words. That should shake you. That should remind you how chosen, how preserved, how protected you truly are. Beloved, your survival is the loudest testimony that your purpose is still alive. But hear me carefully. The danger of this moment is distraction. The enemy knows he cannot stop heaven from releasing what is written for you. So he will try to stop you from receiving it. He will whisper, "It's just words. It doesn't matter. You can read later." But Michael is roaring above those lies now. Do not delay. Do not doubt. Do not dismiss because the alignment is too precise. Right now the very heavens are open. Right now your miracle is hovering waiting for your eyes. Later is not an option. Later is a trick. No is salvation. That's why every second of your focus is holy. That's why your very choice to keep reading is a declaration of faith. You are saying to heaven, I believe. I receive. I will not miss this. And God is already responding. Beloved, imagine this. A courtroom in heaven. The accuser stands pointing at your failures, shouting about your mistakes, demanding your blessings be withheld. For 5 years he has brought case after case against you, accusing, condemning, blocking. But then Jesus stands, showing His hands, His scars, His blood, and the courtroom falls silent. Michael enters holding the scroll with your name and declares, "Time's up." The case is closed. The blessing is released. Can you see it? The gavel falls, the chains drop, the doors open, and what was delayed for years is suddenly accelerated. That's why this moment feels like thunder in your chest. Because heaven's court just ruled in your favor. And now I must tell you what comes next. The acceleration. Things that were stuck for 6 years will move in 4 days. Prayers that lingered unanswered will suddenly break open. Opportunities you thought were lost will reappear, knocking on your door. Relationships you thought were dead will find new breath. Financial burdens you thought were permanent will begin to crumble. Healing you thought was impossible will manifest. But all of it begins with your eyes. All of it begins with this decision to stay, to listen, to open. Michael says, the river is flowing. Now step in, beloved. Listen closely because this next truth is one the enemy has worked hardest to hide from you. You are not only a receiver of blessings, you are a carrier of them. The pain you endured was not in vain. It was shaping you into someone who could not only survive storms, but also guide others through them. That's why people have always come to you with their burdens. Why? Even when you felt empty, you still gave. You were being trained as a vessel. Michael says the blessing coming is not just to lift you, but to overflow through you. Those connected to you will feel the ripple of heaven's release. And here is the mystery. By staying here, by listening to this message, you are not only unlocking your own destiny, you are unlocking the destinies of those around you. Heaven is weaving a wider story through your obedience. Beloved, think of the word stop that Michael shouts. It's not a harsh rebuke, it's a rescue. Imagine a child running toward a cliff, unaware of the danger ahead. A loving parent would not whisper softly, but would shout with urgency, "Stop." Not to harm, but to save. That's what heaven is doing with you now. God saw how close you were to giving up, to missing the alignment, to walking into unnecessary pain. And so through Michael, he shouts, "Stop. Don't miss this. Don't lose me. Don't walk away from what I prepared." This shout is love disguised as urgency. And if you feel shaken, it is because heaven is shaking everything that tried to keep you blind. I must also tell you, beloved, that restoration is not coming. It has already begun. Even as you read, things are shifting around you. People who once ignored you are thinking of you again. Situations that seemed impossible are bending. Closed doors are loosening. Your spirit may not yet see it fully, but the movement has already started. Michael says, tell them the miracle is not tomorrow. It is now. What they feared was lost is already alive again. That's why your heart is racing. Why your skin feels alive. Why you sense something stirring in the unseen. Because heaven's current is already flowing around you. And yet I must give you this warning. Not everyone around you will celebrate your breakthrough. Some will envy. Some will doubt. Some will even try to pull you back. That's why heaven is, clears throat, preparing your discernment. You will need Michael's sword to cut away voices that were never meant to guide you. God says this season is about clarity. Do not confuse noise with wisdom. Do not confuse proximity with loyalty. I will show you who is truly for you. And beloved, though it may hurt, this revealing is part of your release. Because you cannot step into the fullness of your destiny carrying people who secretly root for your downfall. Heaven loves you too much to let false hands hold your promise. Beloved, pause again and breathe. Do you feel the weight lifting even now? That is no accident. Heaven is exchanging your burdens for peace, your fear for courage, your sorrow for joy. Michael's presence is heavy around you because he is pouring strength into you. For too long you carried yourself on fragile hope, barely holding on. But now heaven is infusing you with divine endurance. This is why the countdown is so urgent, because the time for barely surviving is over. You are stepping into thriving. You are stepping into abundance. You are stepping into divine fullness. The enemy wants you to miss it. But Michael says no more. This child is crossing over. Beloved, look back for a moment at your life. Can you see how every season, even the painful ones, carried hidden preparation? The betrayals that shattered you, taught you to discern. The loneliness that hollowed you taught you to hear God in silence. The failures that humiliated you carved out humility that will keep you grounded when success floods in. None of it was wasted. Michael whispers, tell them, even the scars are crowns. Even the ashes are altars. Even the tears are treasures. That's why the enemy fought so hard to blind you with regret. Because if you ever realized how even your pain was working for your glory, you would walk unshakable. And now you are realizing, you are beginning to see the thread of heaven weaving through your chaos. And the moment you see it, your whole story shifts from tragedy to testimony. Beloved, I see in the spirit a door. It is tall, ancient, carved with symbols you cannot fully read, glowing with a light that feels alive. You stand before it, hesitant because you do not know what lies beyond. But Michael is at your side, his hand on the handle, his eyes fierce with urgency. He says, "This is the door your ancestors longed for. This is the door your prayers built. This is the door your tears unlocked. But only you can step through. Only you can claim it. Beloved, the hesitation you feel is not because you are unworthy. It is because the enemy is whispering fear. But God says, do not fear. Step. The door is yours. And when you step through, everything behind you will lose its grip. Chains will break without a fight. Night will collapse into morning. And the story you lived until now will no longer define the story you live next. And I must tell you, beloved, that time is being redeemed for you. You think too much has passed, that you are late, that the opportunities are gone. But heaven is not bound by the clocks of men. God stretches time, compresses it, multiplies it, bends it for His children. The years you thought were wasted will return to you in multiplied harvest. The seasons you thought were empty will bloom double. Michael says, tell them they have not lost time. Tell them time is bowing to them now. And beloved, this is why the urgency is so great. Because when heaven bends time in your favor, you must not delay. Every second is a seed. Every choice to keep reading, to stay open, is an act of faith that accelerates what is coming toward you. That's why this moment feels alive, because heaven's clock is striking for you. Beloved, hear this carefully. God is not only saving you from what hurt you. He is saving you from yourself, from your doubts, your fears, your self-sabotage. For too long, you have agreed with lies that said you were small, incapable, forgotten. But heaven is breaking those agreements now. Michael lifts his sword not only against demons, but against the lies in your own mind. He declares, no more. This child will no longer call themselves weak. This child will no longer believe they are unwanted. This child will know they are chosen. And beloved, as you hear these words, something is already shifting in your identity. You are beginning to see yourself the way heaven always saw you. Radiant, powerful, beloved beyond measure. That shift is the true miracle. Because once you believe who you are, everything else will bow to that truth. Beloved, do you know why you are trembling as you take in these words? It is because your spirit recognizes them as truth even before your mind can fully grasp them. For many years, you have longed for confirmation that you are not forgotten, that your struggle had meaning, that your prayers were not wasted. This is that confirmation. Heaven sent Michael to cry out, stop. Do not lose God. Do not miss this hour. You may not feel ready, but readiness is not what God looks for. He looks for willingness. And right now, your willingness to stay, to keep your heart open, is enough for heaven to pour rivers into your dry places. Can you not sense it already? That subtle lifting of despair, that warmth pressing against your chest. That is not imagination. That is the Spirit of God leaning close, whispering. Finally, you are hearing me. Beloved, I see in the Spirit a battlefield. It stretches wide, and at its center lies a throne, your throne, the seat of your calling, the place heaven wrote for you before time began. Around it shadows have fought for many years to keep you away, hurling arrows of doubt, of betrayal, of fear. You thought the battles of your life were random, but they were always about this throne. Michael has fought beside you all along, shielding you even when you could not see him. And now at last the enemy is weary, his weapons broken, his lies exposed. The throne gleams brighter than ever, waiting for you to sit, to rule, to walk in authority. Beloved, do not hesitate. Do not believe the whisper that says you are not worthy. Michael says the blood of the Lamb already made them worthy. Their place is secured. They must claim it now. And here is something you must understand with holy trembling. Your breakthrough is not coming from outside. It is rising from within. God is not sending you scraps from heaven's table. He is awakening the treasure already placed in your spirit. The courage you thought you lacked is already inside you. The wisdom you thought was hidden is already in your soul. The strength you thought was gone is already alive in your bones. This message is not planting something new. It is unlocking what was buried. That's why you feel fire stirring in your chest as you read. That is your spirit remembering its identity, its authority, its divine inheritance. And once it awakens, nothing can put it back to sleep. Beloved, you are not just receiving a word. You are being reborn in the light of it. Beloved, think of how many times you almost quit. Yet here you are. Think of how many doors closed, yet you survived. Think of how many voices told you that you were not enough, yet something inside you refused to die. That something was heaven's seal on you. That unexplainable endurance was proof you were chosen. And now Michael says, tell them they endured for this hour. Tell them their survival was the prophecy. Your very existence is evidence that heaven has unfinished business with you. The enemy would not have fought you so viciously if you were not dangerous to his kingdom. But the fact that you are still here, still breathing, still reading is the proof he lost. You are a walking victory even before the miracle manifests. And now the miracle comes to match what you already are. Before this story reaches its final moment. Receive this. You did not arrive at Michael's divine shield by chance. You were led here at this exact hour because heaven had something to place in your hands. Through the link in the description and pinned comment, you can step into the Michael's Divine Shield community, a guarded faith-filled sanctuary where divine protection is not a wish, but a promise standing on the Word. When you join our membership tiers, you gain immediate access to daily devotion, spiritual warfare tools, and divine insights. The world will never hand you. Inside Michael's Divine Shield, you will find guidance for every decision, unwavering covering on our prayer wall, and rapid movement toward the destiny already written over your life. Do not let this moment pass. Your breakthrough is standing at the door. And if you want to carry this covering into your home, our guided ebooks and Bibles are waiting in the pinned comment. Whether you join Michael's Divine Shield as a member or sow a seed through our resources, your presence shifts the atmosphere. Take the step. Your protection and your abundance are waiting.